Hello again. Now we are going to talk about critical intercultural incidents. What is it? A critical incident is a narrative that illustrates a misunderstanding between two or more people from different cultural backgrounds. In the process, they deepen their understanding of the complex cultural factors affecting intercultural encounters. The term critical incident refers to a communication situation which the participants or one participant consider as problematic and confusing, even amusing. Critical incidents are occasions that stay in mind. Typically, critical incidents consist of examples of cultural clash event situations where unexpected behavior occurs with suggestions on how to solve these situations. The scientist Flanagan suggested the critical incident technique in 1954, and he defines the critical incident technique as a set of procedures for collecting direct observations of human behavior in such a way as to facilitate their potential usefulness in solving practical problems and developing broad psychological principles. The purpose of the critical incident technique is to develop one's ability to see interaction situations from perspectives of different cultures. The root of the critical incident technique can be traced back to the late 19th century, but the theory itself was not introduced to the field of cross-cultural training until the early 60s. A great number of so-called culture simulators or intercultural sensitizers have been developed in order to help those who intend to live abroad for a long period of time. The purpose of critical incidents. The person who learns language without learning culture risks becoming a fluent fool. This often quoted saying illustrates the importance of infusing language curriculum with appropriately sequenced intercultural competence building exercises. To develop intercultural competence, learning needs opportunities to reflect in an intentional way on the very real shifts and threats to their identities as they learn a new language and learn how to cope in a new culture. For language instructions, this tool can facilitate a deeper understanding of how their own cultural identities influence the teaching and learning relationship. The objectives of critical incidents. At the end of the course, you will draw out, compare, and analyze the differences of various interpretations and perceptions surrounding culture to identify cultural differences that might be contributed to particular problems, misunderstandings, or conflicts, or have influenced the various interpretations and explanations of the participants, to assist participants in comprehending the diversity that exists among members of each culture as well as the normative difference between cultures, to support participants in achieving the necessary understanding to perform in a culturally appropriate and effective manner in similar situations, to expand participants' awareness of the nature of characteristics and behavior they should learn about and motivate them to continue learning. I took the main two concepts. They are generalizations and stereotypes. I think they are the main causes of critical incidents when you are in abroad or foreigners, when foreigners live in our country and so on. No two individuals are alike. People have different personalities and backgrounds, and also a plethora of cultural identities. People from different cultures are likely to experience more profound differences when adapting to a new learning, working, or living milieu. Part of becoming interculturally competent means increasing our knowledge and awareness of the underlying sets of beliefs and the meanings that ground culture. We can use this knowledge and awareness about a culture, known as generalizations, to predict outcomes and behavior or to interpret situations. In other words, Cultural generalizations are statements of likelihood and potential, not statements of certainty. Remembering that we make use of generalization can prevent us from falling into the trap of stereotyping. And the stereotypes vary greatly, but include social, political, cultural, national, behavioral stereotypes, as well as those based on territory, geography, region, profession, gender, age, race, and ethnicity. Due to their persistence and ambiguity, ethnic stereotypes present stumbling blocks in intercultural communication, and overcoming them requires a thorough study of diverse theoretical sources. Culture as an onion. I think culture like an onion, and scholars develop 4 layers of culture as they identify. The inner layer is cultural identity, second layer race, gender, religion, ethnicity, social class, sexuality, age, mental and physical ability. The third layer, communication, motivation, perceptions, attitudes, personality. And the fourth layer are occupation, career, religion, education, citizenship, generation, language, political ideology, region, province, urban, rural, immigrant status, and the age of immigration, majority or minority group of membership. I introduce you culture iceberg. As you know, there are visible and invisible culture. For visible culture, we count facial expressions, religious rituals, paintings, literature, gestures, holiday customs, food, eating habits, music, styles of dress. Or in other words, we call them tangible and intangible. Invisible culture are religious beliefs, importance of time, values, beliefs about child rearing, concept of leadership, concept of fairness, nature of friendship, notions of modesty, understanding of the natural world, concepts of self, general world view, concepts of personal space, rules of social etiquette. So, causes of critical intercultural incidents can be racism, discrimination, prejudice, culture shock, ethnocentrism, religion stereotypes, and others. I give you one example from workplace. Peter went downtown in an office to pick up some documents. When he arrived, he went to the front desk and talked to the receptionist. The receptionist was very helpful and seemed to go out of his way to make sure Peter wouldn't have any trouble getting what he needed. Peter was very happy with the service and thought about how different it was from the service in his country. About half an hour later, he was just getting ready to leave the office when he realized that he had one more question. The receptionist was not at his desk, but Peter saw him in the hallway. So he rushed out to catch him. Instead of helping Peter, the man told him that he was on his break and that Peter would have to wait until he got back. Peter was surprised by the receptionist's response. Why he was surprised? Because there are 4 orientations. Yeah, maybe he counted and he thought that nobody could enter, nobody could interfere his personal space in his break time. So, about orientations. There are 4 orientations. Orientation to self, it is individualism and collectivism. Orientation to time, monochronic, polychronic. Orientation to power, high power and low power distance. And the communication, direct, indirect, and non-verbal or verbal communications. And the conclusion. In conclusion, I'd like to say that students should understand and analyze critical incidents. To acquire critical cultural awareness, intercultural communicative competence, and to manage stereotypes. Critical cultural incidents has significantly increased through the development of reflective knowledge and through the identification and the interpretation of interacting cultures. And you see, it's very important to learn intercultural communication, to learn body language of different culture, to learn their stereotypes, and their style of communication. Also, it's important to know their superstitions, for example, in order to have a good relationship, in order to communicate well, to do some negotiations with the foreigners. It's very important to know their culture and, of course, introduce our culture to them. Thank you for your attention.